Hi and welcome to this DCP web tutorial. In today's tutorial I'm going to show you how to cut out an image using GIMP 2.10. So let's open up our web browser and we're going to download two pictures. So let's download this picture here. I'll put links to these images in the YouTube description. So we download this image and we're going to download one other image which will be like a background. So we'll have this image as well. So let's download these two images and we're going to cut the picture of the woman out and put her onto this background here. So let's open up this folder here and we drag and drop the picture into here. Now, I've done different examples on my YouTube channel showing you different ways to cut out images, some using layer masks, some using different selection tools in GIMP, but today we're going to use the free selection tool. So let's open up GIMP. And the first thing we'll do is drag and drop the picture of the woman into GIMP. So like I mentioned, there's different ways to do cut out images. You can use layer masks, you can use different techniques, and I'll put some links in the YouTube description showing you some other techniques that I've used. But today we're going to use the lasso tool or the free selection tool. So before we do anything, let's go to File, Save As, and then on my desktop, let's go to my desktop, let's go into this folder, and let's just call this cutout -01. So we're going to save it as a GIMP file. We'll save our work as we go along. So let's click save. Now the most important thing is before you start cutting out an image, you need to right click here and add an alpha channel. Alpha channel is basically like a transparency, yeah? Think of it that way. So let's click that and add an alpha channel. And in today's tutorial we're going to use the free select tool. So we'll click on the free select tool and we'll give it a little feathered edge of 1 pixel here on the radius, yeah, just like this. And it will turn on anti-aliasing as well, so leave these options on and we just leave it at 1 pixel feathering. So we will use the there's a couple of ways to zoom in, right? So let's just do it the standard way. We'll hold down the control key and we're going to zoom into the image. You can see it's quite high res, and normally I would start, let's say, around this sort of shoulder around here, yeah? So you want to get in quite close and we'll do one left mouse click, just one click, and when we click we'll get to draw this line. And we want to just draw little segments out here and trace around the edge. Now this can be quite time consuming, so I will show you a couple of examples of how I'm going to do this, and then maybe I might speed this up, I might not speed it up in the YouTube video. I probably won't speed it up, right? I'll probably show you this in real time and then you can get the gist of it. You can either follow this or you can speed it up on YouTube. You can just go to the tools in YouTube and speed up this video or fast forward it. So sometimes I'll make a mistake, like I won't make an obvious mistake, but I'll click here for example. And really I want that line to be much closer. So when you move your cursor back over the line, the dot, you can actually drag it back in like this. And normally what I'll do is I'll get through a part of this image. You can middle mouse click to drag down, yeah. So let's get through a part of this image, let's say up to about here. Now normally I'll get to a point like this and then what I'll do is zoom back out. So I'll hold the control key and use the mouse wheel to zoom back out, and I'll draw over here, I'll draw up here, I'll draw to like here, and then connect it to here. So I'm connecting that whole section like this, and then I'll hit the enter key and that will confirm the selection. Then I'll go to edit, cut, and I'll cut out that part of the image. I want to get a piece of it done, then cut it out and then continue. So I'll go to select none, and I'll go back to my free select tool and I'll zoom into where I was finished off right here, and I'll continue and I'll repeat that process as I'm going along. So let's just continue this. I'll speed it up a little bit here. And normally if you do loads of smaller dots, you're going to get really a better cutout of the image. If you do like, unless there's nice straight edges, like when we get down to the shoes, you'll see there's nice straight edges where you can do like a much straighter edge cut. But really you want to try and follow the contour a lot more clearer and clean, and it will just give a better image cut at the end. So go around it in quite carefully. You can hopefully you've downloaded the same image, or you can use a different example. You don't have to use this one. And we'll just go around this image here. So I'll get to around this point and I'll use the control key and the mouse wheel to zoom back out, and I'll click over here, up here, and I'll join it here. Then I'll hit the enter key and then I'll go to edit, cut. Now I've cut out that part and I'll continue. So I'll just go to select none because I want to remove the selection so I can continue, and then we just continue down here. I'll try and speed this up a little bit for you. Now obviously you've got the gist of it, so if you feel confident you can continue yourself, by all means you can stop watching this video. But sometimes when you watch them speeded up videos, people are not really explaining themselves very well in these tutorials, so I kind of like to just do things in real time. This is how I would do it anyway if I was just sitting in front of my computer doing this job. So I might as well record it and put it on YouTube in the same way. So it's worth taking your time when you get to like edges like this. You know, in some tutorials I've seen someone literally go around the whole image, make the whole selection and then delete the background at the end. I really don't think that's a wise move. I think you should get to somewhere like here, zoom back out, and then click over here, click up here somewhere, connect it here, then hit the enter key, then go to edit, cut, and then go to select none, and then go to file, save every so often. You should really do that on each step. And the reason why I do that is if I make a mistake, it's really hard to undo sometimes. But if I do a whole section like this and then go here, click here, cut, I'm happy with it, then I can just go to edit, cut it, select none, save it, and then continue the job. And at least you're saving it in steps there. So if you make a mistake, you can always get back to that last step rather than having to redo the whole cut again. If you go around this whole image and you get right down to the bottom here and you make a mistake in your selection, it can be a real problem, right? I think in future versions of GIMP they're going to improve this selection tool, but for me, from experience, this is the wisest way to do it, is to do a part of it, make sure you're happy with that part, and then continue to do the rest of it afterwards, right? In steps. And this will save you a lot of headache. So like I was saying, you can do like longer selections around here where you get down to the shoes. You can be a bit more straight edged around here. So normally I'll take a little bit more time doing this. And like I mentioned, there's other ways to do this. You could use like a layer mask to do this as well, if you choose to do so. So I've got tutorials on layer masks, on other ways to crop out images. You can, if the image is quite simple with a really simple background, this is probably not the right way to do it. If it's just a simple image with a simple background, then you could use something like the magic wand tool to do this cutting out this image here. That would be a lot easier to do it that way as well. So it really depends on the image that you're using. So here, look, you can see I've made this whole selection here. I can hit the enter key and then I'll go to edit, cut, and all that's been cut out. Go to select none, go to file, save, and then we just continue. So hopefully you're not getting too bored watching me do this. Hopefully you're doing your own image while I'm doing this one and you can see what I'm doing, and then you can follow it along. Sometimes bits like this sticking out, I just go straight over the top of it. I won't bother cutting around it. If you want to spend the time to do that, then by all means do that. And here we'll drag these in a little bit off. So you can go, let's just go up a little bit here. So you can move to another point like down here or here. In between you can drag these separately, right? And you can drag this top one to realign it. If you made a little mistake there, you can then just drag them in, but just try and be as accurate as possible on that click, on the left click, and then just make your life a little bit easier. So here we've got a nice straight edge, so we can just go all the way straight down. We'll go around the bottom of this here. You know, cutting an image out this way, it takes time, but you've got a lot more precision in what you're doing. So this is like the advantage of doing it this way. Like I said, there's quite a few different ways to do this. It really depends on the type of image you're cutting out, to be fair. So with this one, let's go down to, let's zoom out here a bit. And we'll go across here, down here. And we'll join it here. Hit the enter key. Go to edit cut. Go to select none. And then file save. Really around the bottom of this shoe I should have spent a bit more time. It's not the best cut there, but you can choose to spend a bit more time on that. Sometimes you've got to zoom out a little bit to see what's going on. So this is a part of the leg here. Sometimes it's not quite clear, so it's worth zooming out. Just see what's going on in the image, where you're going. And then, see, like here I've made a bit of a mistake, right? So this is why I say save it, because really I can't fix this now. So I have to press escape, undo that, and really I have to start from this bottom part again. This is why I was saying save it in steps. Because if I made that mistake there and did a lot of work, it would have been a real problem. And I've found that in GIMP that can be a bit of a problem sometimes. Maybe someone can correct me, but I'm not sure how to undo a step like that when I do the click. Afterwards, how do I go about undoing that last step if I make a mistake? I can't really find. Control Z doesn't seem to work, so that's just the way it is in this version of GIMP. But hopefully we'll be getting a new version of GIMP. It's getting close to version 3 now. I've been reading up about it, so it looks like GIMP's going to have some really big improvements in some newer in the next version, the next major release, right? So we're using GIMP 2.10 here at the moment, and it'll be interesting to see what GIMP 3 is going to be about, but I'm not sure how long it's going to be before they release that. So let's get to around the top of this knee, then we'll zoom out again. Let's zoom out so we can see over here. You can click all the way up here, down here, go here, then here, hit enter, go edit, cut, select none. Now we've got rid of most of that. So there's not much to do. If you're getting bored, by all means close down the video, but I'm just going to finish it off. Because when I start something, I kind of like to finish it, right? So with hair and stuff like this, I'm just going to go straight over the edge rather than trying to cut it out. That's where layer masks really are a lot more effective. When you've got fine detail like hair, a layer mask would do a much better job, but I've already done a tutorial on layer masking, so I'll put that in the YouTube description. You can see that. This is really about using the free select tool to cut around this image. Let's get to the top of this glass. We'll go over here, down to here. Hit the enter key, edit, cut, select none, file, save. So let's just finish. Okay, when we get down to this ear, I think I'm going to go and cut all of that out. So let's go straight across here. Let's move this across a bit. So we go across here, we can go all the way up to the top, around here, down here. In fact, we can probably go here, and then connect here. Then hit enter, edit, cut, that's all gone. Select none. And then we'll continue just down here, and then the rest of this we can just use the eraser tool to get rid of some of these other parts of the background. We'll just go around this ear quickly. Okay, we're almost done. So really we've got to cut out around here. So let's start down here. So that's not too bad. I think that's pretty much done. I think we've got a cut behind this finger as well. So let's go to select none. Let's just do this properly. We're almost done now. I'm going to edit, cut. Oops, let's go to press. If you make a mistake like that, press Ctrl Z. That's going to undo it. We're supposed to hit the Enter key first to confirm that selection here. then go to edit cut. So if you ever make a mistake, don't worry about it too much. Always make sure you're going to file save. So when you're saving your work, you know you've got a backup of that work, it's saved. And if you make a mistake, press Ctrl Z to undo that last step, like I just did there. So let's go to select none. Let's take a quick look, see what's going on here. So this looks pretty good. We just need to get rid of this thing over here. So let's just go to the eraser tool. We can make that nice and big. We can just erase that quite quickly like this. Let's go to file, save, and then we downloaded another picture, right? So let's use that. Got this background here. So let's go to let's see. Let's do a new image, and we'll make that HD. So let's make that 1920 by 1080, and we'll make it 72 dpi, and we'll fill it with transparency, and we'll click OK. So we've got this blank background. Let's drag this background we downloaded into GIMP here. Let's click on this resize tool, and let's zoom out. So use the control key and the mouse wheel to zoom out. Click on the resize tool. Let's click on the image. Let's set the opacity down to around 50%. And you can see the checkerboard in the background. That's the canvas size. And then we'll resize it so that it sits just on the outside. You can see it's just on the outside of this checkerboard in the background. That's the canvas size. We'll click scale, and then we can increase our opacity all the way back up. We can zoom in here a little bit, and then I think that's pretty good, that position. Let's go to this picture of this girl here. Let's go to select all. So we're going to select everything, go to edit, copy. We'll go back to this image here and go to edit and paste. And when we paste it, we're going to right click here on this floating selection and say to new layer. And then that will be on its own layer now, that image. And then we can use the resize tool. So let's zoom out, click on this picture, and we're going to resize it. Let's just zoom in here a little bit to probably something like this. I think will be good. Something like around here. Let's click scale. So that doesn't look too realistic. So what we'll do is just to tidy this up, we'll click on this pasted layer. So this is the, say this is the picture of the girl. We'll right click, we'll duplicate the layer. So we've got two copies now. Let's click on this bottom layer, the girl, and we'll use the reverse flip, and we want to flip it, let's see, vertically, right? Vertically, horizontal, horizontal. Let's see, not horizontal. We want to flip it vertically, so it's upside down. Then let's click on the move tool, and we'll drag that layer down to around here. And then let's zoom out a little bit here, and we want to use the distortion tool. Right, we could use the shear tool, I think, but let's use the cage transform. Let's try that. Just click on it. Actually, not this. Let's see. Yeah, we use the perspective change tool here, the perspective one, and let's see. Something like this. You just want to change the perspective. There's quite a few different ways to do that in GIMP, I guess, but I just want to change it to something like this sort of shape. Click transform, and then we'll click on this this image here. We'll go to image, color. We'll go to, actually, let's go to levels, and we'll set it to a black color. So we just take that handle there, drag it all the way across to make it black. Click OK. We can go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur. We can just add a bit of a blur to this shadow and click OK, and let's see what that looks like. Now it looks a bit more realistic with the shadow there rather than it being just a cutout. But it's kind of a good example of how to cut out an image. We put that on a different background. You could have scaled it up, you could reduce it down in size. You can do lots of different things with this image now. That's how you go about cutting around the image, and it's quite a good clean cut if you think about it. We didn't spend too long on it. We spent a bit of time, but most of that was just going around the edges and making sure it's clean. So if you check the YouTube description, I'll show you some other examples. Let's just go to file save, I think. let's call this cutout 2. So call it cutout 2. Let's save that. Let's go to File, Export As. Let's just export this as a JPEG as well. JPEG, export here. We can close this. This is already saved. Let's cancel. Let's go to File, Save, then close it. Close that in GIMP now. So we managed to take this background and this picture and combine them together to give us this this end result image. We can play around with the colors and the saturation and stuff and try and blend those images in a bit. And we'll put this little drop shadow down here. But if you check the YouTube description, I'll show you some other examples. There's a few different ways to remove backgrounds from images. This one was using the free select tool, but you can use select by color. You can do a layer mask as well. There's a few different ways to cut out images. So I'll put some other examples in the YouTube description. That's the end of this tutorial, and I look forward to seeing you on the next DCP web tutorial.